Entering Kenmore. Doors will open on the left.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another bonus episode of Entering Kenmore. I am David Azer alongside Zach Coe. Zach, yet another trade to break down, as we have made the promise to break down every single trade this offseason, regardless of how big or small it is. So this one, Luis Perales has been traded to the Washington Nationals in exchange for Jake Bennett. So a pitcher for pitcher trade. To me, I'm kind of a casual on all the prospects, but it seems like a pretty lateral move, if nothing else, for the Red Sox. How are you feeling on everything?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we made that pledge to break down every trade, and that means Ryan Watson for Jacob Reimer and everything else that comes with it. I think this is one that would have been worthy of a breakdown. Anyways, obviously Luis Perales is a guy who we've heard a lot about, has, I would argue, probably a top 3 ceiling in terms of starters in the system right now between Tolley, Witherspoon, and him. Obviously, he caught on with the G1 nickname with Section 10 and everything, so gained some prominence there. Obviously, high variance guy, but like I said, he has one of the highest ceilings in the system. Spent most of the season recovering from Tommy John, but they were pretty aggressive with his assignments when they brought him back. He was up in Worcester, which he had never been pre-Tommy John at that point, and he touched 101 in his return. Obviously, when you're talking about guys coming back from Tommy John, the command is the last thing to come back. Obviously, that didn't come back yet. Pitched in the AFL, mixed results, 11 and a third innings pitched, 13 earned runs, a 19-11 strikeout to walk rate. As far as Perales is concerned, it feels like a strange reversal to go from, yeah, they really like Perales, he might actually come up for a playoff push and like try to help out of the bullpen, to getting traded for a much lower ceiling, higher floor player like Jake Bennett in a prospect swap, which isn't something that you see all the time. As far as Jake Bennett goes, he's 6'6", 240, 2022 second round pick. Baseball America has him as number 6 in the Nats organization. Obviously, he kind of fits in with the profile just from a size perspective of what they've looked for. He's a Haas, I guess you could say. Obviously, with Johan Oviedo, Peyton Tolley, some of these other guys fits that. A physical profile, he will require a 40-man spot. Nationals protected him from the Rule 5 this offseason. And stop me if you heard this one before. He's got a weird low-angle release point, a funky delivery, and elite extension. He ticks off all those boxes that the pitching lab tends to look for in that. 2.27 ERA, 2.96 FIP across 75 and a third innings pitched through high A and double A. Only a 21.5% strikeout rate, though, which was only 18% in Double-A, and a 6.4% walk rate. He limits hard contact. He also pitched in the AFL this season. It was a 4.50 ERA with a 2.70 FIP over 20 and a third innings pitched. The walk rate stayed right there at 6%, but the strikeout percentage ticked up to 30.1%, and he actually led the AFL in strikeouts among pitchers. Breslow said about him, he's a high probability starter that excels in some things that are hard to teach. Fastball playability driven by above average extension and strike throwing ability. His whiff rates and ability to manage hard contact have us confident in his ability to be a major league starter. Fastball tops out at 96, sits 92 to 94. His changeup is the best off speed of the bunch, 43.1% whiff rate on that one in 2025. Also has a slider and a curve that both had whiff rates above 30%. Overall, obviously, Bennett, like I said, if you have any type of familiarity with what this pitching lab looks for, he has a ton of the traits that they're looking for. Though I'm super huge on trading what I just said was one of the 3 highest ceiling arms in the system for a guy like this, especially because he seems like a pretty safe bet to be a number 4 or 5 starter. And for a team that's so comfortable with 3 through 10 in the rotation, like they said, they've done a whole lot of adding in that range of 3 through 10, and now Bennett just goes right back in that mix. And I think Perales was in that mix, so it's really just a 1-for-1 swap, but it feels like we've been waiting for a much bigger shoe to drop and kind of like make things clearer, whether it be for a bat or a number 2, and instead they just keep on throwing pieces into this mix and reshuffling them. It's just, I don't know. It seems like the consensus right now is like, holy, what a fleece. And obviously, this is a deal with Paul Taboni, who's coming over from the Red Sox. So this was a guy in Perales that he targeted. The very first thing he does is potentially fleece his former boss. on getting a super high ceiling, super electric arm in Luis Perales. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I rattled through the list right before we hit record, but now on the 40 man, and this is not including Sonny Gray, which I think is being generous because I think he's a number 3, but 3 through 10, all on the 40 man. Ayo, Oviedo, Cutter Crawford, Patrick Sandoval, Kyle Harrison, Peyton Tolley, Connolly Early, Tyler Uberstein, Shane Drohan, Hunter Dobbins. So we're talking about
man.
What now? Like 6, 9, 10 names to fit 3 through 10. And that's before you even get into some of the guys that aren't on the 40 man.
Right.
And that's not even I didn't even include Bennett in this. So that's 11 names on the 40 man. I don't know. I don't see it. Who am I to question the success that they've had building up these guys and taking traits that are hard to teach and then building up, say, strikeout numbers or a control, or obviously with Bennett, it's not really a control issue, but the strikeout numbers aren't great. So who am I to judge? Obviously the reliever risk and the body builds were too much for Craig Breslow to handle in terms of trading away Luis Perales. It just felt like he could have been a chip in a much bigger deal. But again, who am I to question it?
No, I'm with you there. That's what I was thinking is a lot of these rumors we're hearing are certain teams are asking for Peyton Tolley or Connolly Early in some of these big trades that could potentially happen. And part of me was like, could you negotiate them down to a Luis Perales? It seemed like he could have been one of those big trade chips to potentially, and I'm just grasping at straws here, land you a Ketel Marte or a first baseman on the trade market, however you want to spin things. And it just seems like they moved on from him for really nothing. Like, I don't know much about the guy they're getting back in Bennett, but it just seems like a very lateral move. I said it off the top. Like, why are we continuing to add 3 through 10 if the top of your rotation is begging for an actual number 2 behind Crochet, and you're just making all these moves at the margins? It's just maddening. I mean, after we did a whole episode on they missed out on the 2 big bats in free agency in the winter meetings and came home with nothing, then I was kind of banking on like, hey, maybe something big's coming soon. And they just continue to do these supplementary moves. When are we going to see the big one happen? I just, maybe they're building up pitching depth to make a move for
but they already
someone
had
else.
That.
I don't need more pitching depth. I get it. You can never have too much, but at a certain point, I can have enough 3 through 10.
They have too much. They have too much.
Way too much.
Like, not all of these guys are going to be on the 40 man on March, whenever opening day is. Not all these guys are going to be on the 40 man. And according to Chris Cotillo, the Red Sox aren't expected to flip Bennett. They like his potential. So, like, where do these moves come from? If they trade Peyton Tolley because we got big Bennett coming in, I'm going to be fucking pissed. I'll say that much. I'm going to be furious. Like, does this make Connolly Early more expendable? Probably, but am I trading Connolly Early because we have Jake Bennett that you just traded for? No, because you've already made those strides with Early. You already have seen him at a big league level. This is a 25-year-old and obviously he was hampered by Tommy John for the last part of 2023 and all of 2024. So he's a little bit behind in that regard. But again, like, you already have that. Like, I'm not being like, oh, well, I have faith that we can turn things around with Jake Bennett, so all of a sudden Connolly Early is expendable. That may not be their line of thinking. They may have already viewed Early as expendable, and maybe Tolley isn't. But I just, like you said, like, we're just all kind of waiting for this big move to come, and it just hasn't. And like I said, for a team that was so comfortable about 3 through 10, that's all they've added. So where is this move coming from? And it doesn't seem like they're going to spend any money. So I don't know what's going on. And I'm sure there's going to be something that makes it all clear. But until then, we're just sitting here with a list of 11 guys that could fill at least 2 of your last rotation spots. But then, like, what do you do with the rest of them? That's enough for more than a AAA rotation.
Yeah, I mean, Worcester's rotation is going to be insane.
Yeah, and that's not even including David Sandlin, who they moved to a reliever role, but I haven't seen anything about them sticking with him in that reliever role. It just kind of seemed like they were desperate for a relief arm. I do think he is eventually a reliever, but we haven't seen that long term, so, like, that could throw him into the mix too. So it's just, There needs to be another shoe to drop, and I'm sure it's coming at some point, but I like that they're not waiting around, but it's just like, all right, man, like, what's the plan? Because right now I'm not seeing it.
All this stockpiling has to be leading to something, unless the Red Sox are run by the dumbest front office in the history of baseball. And there are some days I'm like, yeah, maybe it is. Other days I'm like, the other days I'm like, oh, just you wait. Ketel Marte's coming. Like, some big trade is happening because you have too much depth. It's not just the pitching, it's the outfield, and we've been talking about that forever now. But something has to be coming, and maybe they're gonna drag me back to my white padded room after I keep saying this at the end. Spring training's gonna start.
Something's coming.
Spring training's gonna start, and the move will still be coming. So we're losing time here. I know we were panicking last episode about that. This just doesn't help, fortunately.
No. The concern for me is the bat. Where's the bat? Who is it going to be? Like, what are we? Right now, they're in Carabas. He's been yapping on Threads. Today, he said, I sent it to you. I'm feeling a little less confident about a Bregman reunion today than I was before. So it's like, all right, so they're actually going to run it back with a much worse offense and just more pitching depth than you could ever imagine. Like, that's what we're doing. We're going to keep all the outfielders. We're not going to add anybody as far as a bat goes. We're going to lose our best player for 1 year of Alex Bregman. I don't want to get into a full episode here because that's not what this is for. But yeah, it's just I failed to see the plan, and I'm certainly at the point where I'm questioning if there even is one.
I'm with you there, and I think that's a good spot to end things before we go completely off the rails here. There will be plenty of time to react further towards this front office ineptness that we've been seeing this offseason so far. But hopefully on the other end of that, we have more interesting trades to bring you. And regardless, we will be with you throughout the rest of this offseason. Thanks so much for listening. We'll check in with you guys either in a full episode or to break down another trade.
God, I hope it's